Hello and welcome on Watches TV, and today we will address the following question. Why are sapphire case timepieces so expensive? And we're not talking a little bit more expensive, but significantly more. And we will try to understand this together with, for sure, one of the most complex cases you can ever think of with the Jacob & Co. Bugatti Chiron, a timepiece introduced a year ago, and I remember very well when we did our initial video and standing beside the watchmaker who was doing the assembly and seeing this incredible movement by itself, I immediately thought, wouldn't it be amazing to see it better thanks to a sapphire version? So I obviously shared my thought of the moment with the head of the company, and he kind of discreetly winked back to me. So I thought, well, if they're going to achieve this, well, this is going to be a seriously tough one considering the complexity of this case's design. But how cool would that be? So first of all, what is sapphire and how do you produce it? Well, the company we're talking about is actually part of a group, and each entity specializes in one of the different steps until the finished result, and it all starts with a special aluminium powder which is heated at a very high temperature. The key point is that the powder actually doesn't melt in the process, but immediately solidifies and creates a sinter on the pedestal. And you keep adding layers, which ultimately creates carats of material, and this implies that you have an axis of the growth, and you need to take this into consideration when you're machining it and polishing it. So the original technique is called the Verneuil technique after the name of its inventor, a French scientist in the early 20th century, and it was soon further developed by other scientists, enabling to grow larger size carats depending on what your needs are. So now that you have your carat, well, you will be able to machine it in the required shape, but you have to remember that sapphire is one of the hardest materials out there. On a scale of 1 to 10, well, diamonds would be at 10. And sapphire, well, just below at 9. Reason why you don't have that many options to machine and polish sapphire. You need diamonds to do so, and a lot of them. Obviously something you will find in the final price tag.
You have to machine, you have to cut with diamond, and then you have to polish with diamond. And you have to find the right size of diamond, because first of all you cut, and then with this same diamond you have to polish. So it's a very complex process of decreasing the sizes of diamond so that to have a fine quality and so that to get the transparency of the material.
And I mentioned polishing, and this is a very important point because machining the raw sapphire is already quite a tough process, but the best kept secret concerns its polishing. And this is where you will make the difference and requires a very strong know-how.
Jacob wants a full sapphire case, and this is the amazing thing of it. I think the development of the case began many years ago when we started to produce sapphire case. In fact, we've had very long progression, improvement of our processes, and if we are able now to produce the Chiron case, it's because of all the past, all the other cases that we have produced and all that we have learned from these productions. So this development was quite long for the Chiron alone, many months of discussions, and then we had to find solutions. I think today it's one of the most complicated watch that we have ever produced in sapphire. You have the case that takes something like 80 to 120 hours, but then you have the back and you have to count many hours for this too. You have the top, you have the crowns. We had to develop also these parts and to find ways to machine it and then polish it. We had to mix the different methods of polishing that we learned during our experience of these many last years. And right now for the Chiron we have to mix all of this because every shape has a particular process of polishing, and for a Chiron with all these changes of shapes it's very complicated. You have to mix all of it. The junctions of all these shapes are very complicated. You have to have the same quality of polishing, the same transparency. So if you had only one side to make, it would be easy. The other complex thing of the polishing, you have to keep perfect parallelism between the faces. If you don't keep it, you will have a distortion, optical distortion. I think we have as much time in the polishing process than in the machining process. So you have someone polishing one part during more than 2 weeks. Today, you know that we can polish many things with numeric machines, but with these complex shapes, we cannot do it without human people doing it. So we have some automatic parts of the process, but we still keep a huge manual polishing. And I think it's the charm of this case is because every case is unique, because one person spends so much time on it, he will not have exactly the same pressure, exactly the same love when he is working on it. So every case is unique.
So far, we've mainly seen fully transparent sapphire cases, but there are color options.
Right now, we are developing the colors, so it's much more variations that you can do. Actually, we can produce red, green, yellow, blue, and we are making some tries on orange, but it's very complex. It's chemistry, it's physics. It's not just machining sapphire. So you have crazy people making experiments, a bit of this, a bit of that, and trying to make a beautiful color from the dopant you can use in the growth.
Well, we couldn't film every step of the process since there are still a few secret stages, but I found it really interesting to finally see and understand what it takes to manufacture such cases, and therefore understand why there aren't that many watches coming out per year with sapphire cases. And one last thing, but quite also an important one. So though sapphire is super hard, it doesn't mean that it's unbreakable. Unscratchable for sure, apart if you're playing with your diamond ring on it, but you will still need to be a little bit careful with it. In other words, I mean, don't drop it on the floor, you could well regret it. So to summarize things, I know that it may sound odd that to certain that a sapphire case watch will cost more than a full gem set, the rose gold case version, but when you take into account all that is needed, the machines, the volume of diamond used, the time it takes, without even mentioning that you can have unpleasant surprises, for instance, a case breaking up in the machining process, well, all this does add up, and naturally, well, something you will find in the final price of your sapphire timepiece. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. The very best to you. See you real soon, and viva watchmaking!